Hey, I'm Mike from Retro Boost, and we got two major milestones to celebrate here. Number one, the channel just passed 200 subscribers. I can't even begin to express my gratitude there. I mean, I never thought I'd have more than 10. So to see 200 plus at this point is really amazing, and I really appreciate the support everyone's put in. All those who subscribed, I sincerely thank you. All those who watch, I sincerely thank you. Anyone who's tuning in, I greatly appreciate the support in any capacity. That's really cool to see. Secondly, the channel is also over a year old now. Like, wow, it's already been a year. Technically more than a year. I first started filming the original 5 revisit episodes as they were called, as early as May last year. And boy, have things changed a lot since then. I didn't even know that stuff like RetroTink and Carby and whatnot even existed back then. I had a Retron 5, I've had that for a while. I had no idea that there was a way to improve the quality of the original consoles themselves. This is like a whole new world of retro gaming technology that I found by starting this channel, and it's so awesome. That's been the focus of a lot of my most recent videos as I further dive into this technology, play around with it, talk about it when I can. There's more coming down the road with that. I did recently acquire a RetroTink 5X Pro that I've been playing with. I got it in the mail the day before I'm filming this right now, so I've only had it for like 16 hours at the time of filming this video, but I have been playing with it and I look forward to making some videos on that in the future, so it's been really cool. Smart home videos will also continue to happen as I find legitimate topics to discuss. I've kind of run out right now, but I'm working on it. I got a couple ideas. It's just a matter of getting the products, and stuff ain't free. I ain't sponsored by nobody. So the 5X Pro was a big dent in the old budget. So we'll have some smart home stuff down the road though, for sure. I'm gonna keep making those because just like gaming is a hobby of mine, as are like movies and theater technologies from my old jobs, so is smart home. So we're gonna see more of that. As far as the review videos go, I'm gonna definitely keep making those. They're just a lot harder to make than the other videos are. So it's just a matter of trying to find time to like balance it all. I've actually gotten like the next review, 2 reviews really, like written out. They have like scripts written, but it's just a matter of time. Every time I want to do it, I find some other thing that I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do a video on that. Like the ring motion sensor video was most recent smart home one. The RetroTink stuff, I've been gameplay videos on that. So it's just hard to find time for them, but I do intend to keep on making those. Now, to celebrate hitting 200 subscribers, I celebrated 100 subscribers by doing a little video on my top 13 favorite games, and I went down a list. I'm gonna do something similar in the vein of a chance to get to know me better. I'm gonna show off my game console and game collection and kind of go over things about them. So another chance to get to know me a little better as I show off the collection. It's not a great collection to show off, but I'm just gonna show it so you get an idea of what I have and what I'm playing with. And then, tell you some facts about my nostalgia for certain things or how I acquired things, etc. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. It is the best way to support me. Keep an eye out for future videos. We got more stuff on retro gaming. We got RetroTink 5X Pro stuff on the horizon. We'll have more review type fun skit videos. The most recent one was the Jaws Unleashed one. The game's garbage. And then more smart home videos as well. So more to come in all regards. Let's get into talking about my game consoles though. So here is my game console corner. Done my best to organize it, but I am running really dangerously low on space. So it's been really tough. But I essentially have it organized by digital consoles on the left and analog consoles on the right, and both of those break out into their own respective video solutions. The digital consoles all feed into my Denon receiver. That's a souvenir from my theater designing days working at an old job. I can play those on my TV like normal or have it reroute to my capture system as necessary. The analog consoles all go out to that Extron matrix switcher, and from there they lead to a RetroTink device, currently the 5X Pro. Before it was either a mixture of different ones. I had the 2X Pro M and the regular 2X Pro, so I could change inputs and outputs for those, no problem. I have a video that talks about how those Extron switches work. If you're a retro gaming enthusiast, switches like those are really cool and handy. So that's how they all break out. Let's get into the specifics of each console. At the very top of the shelving, because it's so big that there's no choice, is the Sega Genesis. Not just the Genesis though, we got the 32X, awesome, and we got the Sega CD. And all of them have power supplies, it's great. I really haven't been able to use these much until very recently. Anything Sega Genesis I was doing, I was using my Retron 5, because the Sega Genesis, with regular composite cabling, doesn't work too great with RetroTink devices. You gotta get the component cables for it. Now that I have a 5X Pro, that doesn't seem to be an issue and it plays like normal. As far as Sega Genesis games go, that's probably one of my smallest collections. I only have a handful of them. A couple of Mortal Kombat games. I do have Shaq Fu, that was a gift from a friend, and Sonic 1 and 2. Sega CD, I am proud to say, I do have Sonic CD, which I've actually owned for years. I found that in a gift shop up north in Delaware when I was on a trip with family. And it was not a gaming shop, it was just like a generic-y kind of souvenir place. You buy your little seashell earrings and whatnot, but they had Sonic CD there? Like in a little glass case, a whole bunch of random stuff. Sonic CD with the case and the artwork, and the disc is like immaculate. It was a great price too, so I didn't hesitate to get it. I didn't have a Sega CD. That was like 4 years ago, so I've owned that thing for years. I got the Sega CD package itself less than a year ago. It's one of the newer things on the rack there, but I've got the games way sooner, which I've done that with another game console I'll get to in a minute here, but Sega CD. Sega does what Nintendo don't, that's for sure. Next we have the N64, my first gaming console. I've had that since I was really young. The first 2 games I had on that when we bought it was Gex, Enter the Gecko, and F1 Grand Prix, which I barely played that one. Gex was the main thing that I played. So for all intents and purposes, Gex, Enter the Gecko was like the first video game I ever played in my life. So I wasn't much of I was a Nintendo guy growing up, but I wasn't like a Nintendo guy, if you get what I mean by that. Mario and Zelda and Kirby and whatnot wouldn't enter my life until way later, toward the end of the N64's lifespan. So Gex and other third-party weird stuff. I remember playing Glover a lot too. So like weird stuff like that is what I mainly played back in the day. But then I got Smash Bros. And Smash Bros. 64 was like how I was introduced to the Nintendo universe. That's how I first learned about characters like Link and Samus and Captain Falcon and so on. It was through Smash Bros. Kirby was the first major Nintendo franchise that I owned personally. Kirby and the Crystal Shards is a big nostalgic game for me. Had that since I was very young. Everything else came way later on. I didn't get Mario 64 until after the GameCube had already came out, and I wouldn't play a Zelda game legitimately until I was in my teens. Ocarina of Time for the GameCube. Metroid, though, I played out of the gate with the GameCube. We'll get to that one, though, shortly. But there's the N64. It's probably my most nostalgic console because I've had it since I was a little kid. I've owned it the longest out of anything on that rack. PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2. Now, we had a PlayStation 2 growing up. It was more of my brother's console to mess around with. I didn't play much on it. I recall playing a lot of Jak and Daxter, and we played Tony Hawk's Underground and Tony Hawk's American Wasteland together quite a bit, but it wasn't the thing that I put most of my time into. Like I mentioned before, I was more of a Nintendo guy growing up. However, PlayStation 1 didn't have that either, but we had a bunch of PlayStation 1 games, and I remember playing a lot of those on the PlayStation 2. Spyro 2 specifically was a big one, and I recall a Pac-Man game. It was like Pac-Man World or Pac-Man Adventure or something like that. I remember playing a lot of that on the PlayStation 2. I didn't get the PlayStation 1 console itself until about probably 5 years ago. It was an online purchase just as I was adding stuff to the collection. That particular PlayStation 2 Slim I got from a friend of mine. It was a purchase. He was looking to get rid of a bunch of stuff, so that console and a ton of games, it was a great deal. So PlayStation isn't the most nostalgic thing to me, although a lot of franchises I look back on really liking that I discovered in like the PlayStation 3 era, which I'll get to in a minute. But Metal Gear Solid, you know, it's one of my favorite franchises. Didn't play it when it was relevant, like the Solid games, I mean, like 1 and 2 and 3, but found those later on and went back and played them. So there are a lot of PlayStation franchises I do deeply enjoy, but didn't experience any of them when I was younger. The Wii. that was a hard console to get one's hands on. I remember wanting it for such a long time, but they were always sold out. It's so hard to get them. But eventually we got one, and the first 2 games I had were Super Mario Galaxy and Metroid Prime 3. And I was able to continue playing my GameCube games. Man, the Wii is a great console. I really enjoy it, still enjoy it. Virtual console is a really cool thing. My main motivation to buy a Wii U was so I could do Virtual Console again, but it be in HD since the Wii U is high definition. You can still get component out of the Wii, and 480p looks quite good when you go through a RetroTink device. The Wii, though, that's a personal favorite. There are a lot of Wii games that I really, really like. I've had a lot of fun with that console over the years. Just gonna skip over the Xbox 360. I mean, I have it because I like to collect this stuff, and it was a very, very good deal. But I don't own any games for it. Well, take that back. I do own one game for it, Sonic Generations. But yeah, so 360. I never owned one during its heyday, and I have it here as part of just I like to collect this stuff. But it's not something that I really ever messed around with or played or have any particular nostalgia for. So, moving on, I actually accidentally turn that thing on like at least once a week. I go to like press a button on the Wii or change a cable in the behind this rack, and I'll hit the power button on accident. So that happens a lot. Moving on though to the NES and Super Nintendo. The NES is such a fascinating little console. I really like that I have it, and I wish I would play it more. I don't mess around with it too much because Retron lets me do NES games, but in like crazy high fidelity compared to the original console. I'm gonna try to mess around with it more. The pin connector is going bad with it. It doesn't boot up all that often correctly, and it can be a pain to mess with. I was able to get a cable for it that tricks it into doing stereo sound though, which is pretty cool. It's like an RCA that splits out, so it's like left and right. It's stereo, but not really. It's like mono to stereo. Pretty neat little cable you can find for it because it does the RCA on it is just mono sound. So cool little life hack there, I guess. The Super Nintendo, that was the first retro console I ever purchased. I remember getting it off of Amazon, and this was like back when you would like talk with the people that you'd buy things from on Amazon before buying it. Nowadays, doesn't seem to happen anymore, and anyway, most things are purchased directly from the companies themselves. I think like the reseller market's still huge, but like for the most part, everything I buy is like coming from Amazon or like from the official entity. It's so rare that I would ever get stuff nowadays, at least, from like a third-party seller. But back then, you talk to them. I remember like messaging back and forth the woman that sold this to me, and she was very, very nice and answered all my questions. I was like 15 at the time, I think, 15 or 16, something like that, and got off Amazon. They didn't do 2-day shipping, so I'm like checking the mail like every day because I don't know when it's going to come. And then it came, and it worked, and I had a whole bunch of games. And this is back when the value on this stuff was like nowhere near as high as it is now, because I have some classics that I got for cheap, like Castlevania 4, A Link to the Past, Super Metroid, the Mario 3D All-Stars, Mario World, Mario Kart, a lot of first-party stuff that I paid like nothing for. And not all of those games are like hyper valuable even now, but like the value's gone way up for most of that stuff, and it's just a testament to how this stuff is becoming more valuable as it gets older. But that was like the first retro console I ever had, was the Super Nintendo. At that point, I would have had the GameCube. I would have gotten rid of it by that point, so it would have been just Wii, PlayStation 3, and Super Nintendo at that time, were my 3 consoles, and I got the NES shortly after that. So quite nostalgic in the sense that that was when I first started to build my retro gaming console collection, was with that Super Nintendo and the games I got with it. That was the beginning of the end result that is now all of this stuff. Began there with that Super Nintendo. Oh boy, the GameCube. So this is another very nostalgic one. So I got a GameCube right when it came out. It was hot off the presses. Got Super Mario Sunshine and Super Smash Bros. Melee were the first 2 games I had. I got Metroid Prime and Star Fox Adventures shortly afterward. Very, very great console. A lot of really hit games. A lot of games on it are some of my favorites ever, like Metroid Prime and Prime 2, F-Zero GX, etc. Such awesome games. That black GameCube is not my original, nor is the silver one that was in its place before. The black one I had to get because I needed to get one of those digital out ports on it, which my silver one didn't have. The original one that I used to have was also black. I ended up getting rid of it and selling it off after getting a Wii because the Wii can also play GameCube. But shortly after, I kind of regretted that. I like to have it as part of the collection. Once I got the Super Nintendo NES, I knew that I really enjoyed collecting the stuff, so I got a really good deal on the silver one, the platinum one, bundled with 2 controllers that are also platinum. So great, great deal. Awesome game console. A lot of my favorite games are on it. GameCube is fantastic. And at the bottom of the rack, we have the original Xbox and a Sega Dreamcast. Sega Dreamcast, I've only got 2 games for, Sonic Adventure and this motocross game. I need to get more Dreamcast games. Some of them are not as valuable as I thought they'd be, so it makes it relatively not hard to get them. But yeah, only got 2. Original Xbox, I have a bunch of Xbox games. The console itself I haven't spent too much time with. Didn't have it when I was younger. I remember a cousin of mine did. I remember that was when Halo 2 came out and took over the world. A friend of mine had an Xbox, didn't have a GameCube, so it's like I brought my GameCube over. We played Prime 2's multiplayer together, and then we did like a more or less an all-nighter with Halo 2's campaign. Thought it was very, very cool, and there's like nothing quite like that experience on GameCube because GameCube lacks like the same kind of feel for its analog sticks, you know. PlayStation 2 and Xbox original have like legit dual analog sticks, so first-person shooters can work really well on those consoles. Not really the case for the GameCube. There are a couple that are definitely good, but they feel better on those other consoles. So like stuff like Halo, you know, that was such a unique experience for me to have back then because I've been used to GameCube games like Metroid Prime. It's a first-person shooter also. Well, really, it's a first-person adventure, but you know what I mean. But like, it's not twin-stick control. You're not using one stick to look around. One stick is your movement and your aiming, kind of like how the original Doom games were. Here comes this other game on Xbox that I'm playing for the first time, and it's like both, and you're moving around, you're dual-wielding, and it's like chaos. It's a very, very cool experience. I didn't get that Xbox until fairly recently, about the same time that I got the PlayStation 1, just online order. The Sega CD and Genesis and that Dreamcast were both purchased at a local game shop that I've been frequenting lately, which is how I've been growing this collection so much lately, by going there. It's a store called Video Game World. So some of that was purchased at that store recently. Most of it was ordered online a few years ago, but the N64 and like a GameCube, the Wii, those are all things that I've had for ever since they first came out. Not the original GameCube, that's a new one, but you know what I mean. I've always had a GameCube at one point or another. So yeah, very cool. That's all the analog consoles. Let's quickly go over the digital ones. Right at the top, we've got the PlayStation 3 and 4. The PlayStation 3 was like the main thing that I put my time into during that generation. I didn't have an Xbox 360, and we got a Wii also, but I had a PlayStation 3. I remember saving up for it, working at this like corner store deli that I used to work at, and I got it from Best Buy, this current slim one here. So love the PlayStation 3. Love a lot of PlayStation's franchises for that console. The Ratchet & Clank trilogy for it, Metal Gear Solid 4. I really, really love MotorStorm Pacific Rift. And then there were tons of third-party games I played for it that I really enjoyed as well. That's one of my favorite game consoles ever, both for the exclusives and just it was my main for so long. I put so much time into that particular unit. I even swapped out the hard drive on it to install more games. There's a 750 gig hard drive in there with higher speed than what the factory one was. I'm not much of a technical guy. That was kind of a big project for me to do, but very cool. The PlayStation 4, I haven't put much time into. I switched over to Xbox during the Xbox One, PlayStation 4 era. Decided to try on Xbox for a change. So PlayStation 4 I didn't get for another few years afterward when the price had dropped a few times. But even then I haven't played it much. I do have the Insomniac Spider-Man game. I haven't put too much time into it. There are a lot of games I really want to get into. It's just a matter of finding the time, and the PlayStation itself keeps getting knocked down in my priority list. But what I have played for it, I have deeply enjoyed. But there's both of the PlayStation consoles there. Really love the 3. It's very nostalgic. Very cool little console. Xbox One. Now that was the console of choice for that respective generation. I switched sides. All my friends at the time were getting Xbox, so I figured I might as well try it out. I really liked it. I did. A lot of the exclusives I really have a lot of love for. Stuff like Sunset Overdrive and the Halo games. I've always enjoyed those. And even the other things too. Like I did like genuinely enjoy Rise, Son of Rome and stuff like that. Gotta be honest. And my brother really enjoyed Forza. Forza Horizon 3 specifically, I really liked. That Hot Wheels expansion was pretty spectacular. This is the Xbox One X that I have down here with the custom little skin that makes it look like an original Xbox. Very fun. That was my main console for so long, and it was all I focused on for a while. Like I wasn't really doing much of any retro gaming activity, which is why I have so many Xbox One games. I just was able to get them all on discount or sale, stuff like that, through rewards or discounts and gift cards or whatever I could do to get them. So I've amassed a pretty large Xbox One game collection because that was my focus for so many years. And now I'm trying to kind of widen the collection for all my consoles with no particular like serious focus on one versus the other, with one exception, which is now done. But Xbox there was my main thing for that particular generation. I had the Kinect when it first came out. That was a mixed bag. It would always work whenever I was alone. I'd say like, hey, Xbox on, and it would work flawlessly. And I could put my hand up and like go through the menus and press things, and it would again work flawlessly. The moment that I'd try to show it off to someone, like, look at what this Xbox can do. Xbox on, nothing would happen. And then it comes on, and then it's like, all right, look at the controls though. Like it wouldn't work. Like it would get stage fright. The last time we ever messed with it was we played that game, The Fighter Within, and no joke, it was me and 4 friends. That thing picked up my old recliner chair, like it shoots out the little footrest thing. It picked that up as a playable character, and I was able to get behind it and make the leg go out, like the, and it would make the fighter do like random little jives in the game and do little short kicks. So yeah, mixed bag. I never got the adapter though to mess around with it on this Xbox. I am really tempted to get a Kinect for the 360 one though, because there are some pretty legendary garbage games for Kinect on 360 that I do have a little bit of an interest in. But Xbox there was the main thing in my life for a while, just like the PlayStation 3 was before it. As far as being an Xbox fan or a Sony fan or a Nintendo fan, man, I love all gaming. I just love it all. There are things that I made the choice to have as my main for a while, but I've always gone back and managed to acquire the other choice on sale or discount afterward. Like I got a PlayStation 4 way afterward, you know? So I enjoy all gaming. I think taping yourself off to one particular choice and slinging mud at your competition is just not a really cool thing to do. If it's your favorite, fine, but don't like ruin other people's day because you love your thing more. That's not cool, you know? Be a good sport about it. I love them all. And then we have the Wii U. I mentioned an exception earlier in regard to collecting games. Up until very recently, the Wii U was my priority. I was trying to get as many as I could before their values started to spike, and a lot of them already have. So the Wii U is also one of my more recent acquisitions, getting it from the aforementioned local store, Video Game World. I never got a Wii U when it came out. I almost pre-ordered it when they announced it, but ultimately I was like, I don't know about that. And I'm really glad in a way that I didn't get into it that early. In retrospect, there are like a handful of like pretty awesome games for it, but that's just the worst name for a game console ever. Wii U. It sounds like it's an extension. The marketing makes it look like an accessory for the old Wii. You get confused with the tablet thing. The tablet thing itself is very clunky. Oh man, like there's a lot of disastrous aspects to it, but Some of the games are pretty great. The idea of virtual console for it being in high definition, it was the main reason that I picked it up. And since then, I was able to acquire a lot of the major games for it, all like the first party stuff or just a lot of the well-known ones. There are still plenty more that I like to get, that I still will probably get. A couple of them are really, really valuable nowadays, but I got all the ones that I originally wanted to get, so I did it. I got in on the ground floor before the market was starting to go up for a handful of them. I've messed around with it a little bit. Twilight Princess was the main thing that I put my time into on it. I did a lot of recording for that in preparation of the top 13 favorite videos, because I played through like about 70-ish% of the game using the gamepad thing for the whole experience. It sucks. I hate it. But they look really good. It's a good port. Very cool. So I'm looking forward to spending more time with it as I gradually acquire virtual console games for it too, because that's actually going to start going away soon. Early next year, they're going to stop letting you buy points with like cards and stuff, so like credit cards, I mean. So I got to get in there before they're all gone. But then, you know, not a bad little system for what it is. I would have definitely not liked it a ton if I bought it back when it was new, though. I'm glad that I didn't. And now we come to the most recent addition to my collection, the Nintendo Switch. I was really late to the party on this one. That I didn't get until February of early this year, 2021. So I didn't get it when it first launched. I was a little wary of it after my opinions of Nintendo kind of dropped a bit after the Wii U came out. I was just like, what are you guys doing with what's going on here? So with the Switch, I was a little wary because it seemed like it was going to be somewhat similar with its design. Although now I look at it like, okay, the Wii U was like the test and the Switch is like the end result of the test of like a hybrid home and portable unit that you carry with you. The tablet is the game console, but you can dock it. So alright, after doing a lot of research and seeing reviews and watching gameplay footage of various first-party titles, I decided, alright, let's finally jump in. So I got one earlier this year, and yeah, it's been really cool. I really like the Switch. I haven't put a ton of time into it. It's still a very recent thing for me, and other stuff has just been holding up my attention with projects regarding the channel, mainly just taking up my time. But from what I've played of it, I have enjoyed immensely, most recently the Skyward Sword HD re-release. So, good console, still needs to grow on me some, but it's the most recent thing I've gotten, and now I'm finally caught up when it comes to Nintendo for once. I've been playing the lagging game so long with them, but now I'm finally current, just in time for a new one to come out. But psych, it's just an OLED screen. So I'm not really too bummed about missing that because I barely ever play my Switch in portable mode, so whatever. But I'm sure a true successor isn't too far away. I mean, I jumped in like 4 years in. Typically Nintendo's pretty strict on the five or so year life cycle, so we'll see. But I've enjoyed it. But alright, there we go. That's all my game consoles and little bit of story for each one. So there we have it, a quick rundown of all my game consoles and some accompanying factoids for each one. Thank you again for everyone who has subscribed. The support is amazing and I can't thank you enough for it. We got more content coming down on the horizon, stuff on the RetroTink 5X, new reviews, more smart home, all kinds of great stuff is on the horizon, so keep an eye out. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. Again, it really helps you grow the channel. Either way though, I appreciate you tuning in. Until next time, all of you have a great rest of your day.